Okay, I wanted to show you something pretty cool for those who want to test different types of systems. I use Grafana for a site reliability site or tracking or whatever you want to call it, but I use Grafana. I use a open source version of it. You can also use the hosted version for free, but you're limited through threads and such. But I use the open source version. I actually use a version that I got from another developer who did it for ISP monitoring. But one of the cool things I did here is I was able to create a dashboard to monitor a SQL server, or you could do a Postgres server or whatever you'd like. But I do a SQL server because it's cheap and I have it online and it's not too bad. So I created a SQL server in Azure. I have a simple table, a simple row with rejected, applied, interview. And essentially what it does is updates, or this updates through its data connection. So if I go over here and show you the data connection, data sources, you can see right here I have Microsoft SQL, and I'm connected to that. So that way you can go back to dashboards. You now have a tracker. Where did it go? Right here, job tracker. Right. Which just gives you an idea that if you're tracking something and you're posting it to a database, you're saving that data, you can do a lot with it. I took this a step further and did it through make.com, which I don't know why this tab's not opening. Here you go. This is what I have. And essentially what this does is it monitors a Gmail account. You can monitor a Microsoft Office 365 account. One note is that if you are going to use Gmail, I'd recommend using a workspace account, because that way you can authenticate directly. You don't have to go make an API on a basic Gmail account, because you have to go publish that app, and it becomes kind of a pain because after a few days it'll stop working. So I have a workspace account. So what this does, I'll walk you through it real quick. It watches my email and says anytime a new email comes in, right? So here's my email. New email comes in, it's going to watch for it. It's going to watch for specific words. Those words, well, actually, it's going to parse the text. It's going to take the HTML content and turn it into text. And then it's going to route that data based on what it sees. If it's rejection, which is like unfortunate, unfortunately, you weren't picked and not to move forward and blah, 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 blah. Right? So you can do a lot of different filters here. So I have rejection, applied, interview, and then I have anything that comes from the U.S. State Department or anything from something that I'm really watching, right? You can send it to a push notification and then also go mark the email as read and set the label. That's why you see the labels here. I have automatic labeling set for everything. So basically I never have to go into my inbox because it goes and updates everything that I need. So this first row where it's doing a rejection, it modifies the email labels. You can kind of see it here. It marks the email as read. By the way, I'm updating a Google Sheet as well because, again, I like data. So if I have something that I can track it, right? So it marks the email as read. Now what I do is I go into my SQL table, and you have to do it in kind of a two-step process. And if somebody out there knows how to do this better, great, tell me. But what I'm doing is I'm going and pulling that row from the table. So that's this row right here. I'm pulling that row, I'm setting a variable, and what I'm doing is I'm saying the rejected row, go get that number and add 1 to it, right? Simple equation, doing it right there. And then I go update that row, and in that row, I'm actually selecting the value from SQL, which is that value, you see number 23? That 23, and I'm also doing the date, time, and the special notes in there, but that 23 is right here, right? So I get that variable, I update the SQL table, right? And I do that same thing for applied if I've been selected for an interview, right? The only thing I really need to maintain is these filters, because the template emails that all these companies send are all different, but just wanted to show you kind of an idea of how you can do some automation with low no code applications like make.com and your Gmail account or your Office 365 account. Again, and then I update the SQL table, and what that does is it goes updates it here. So literally all I have to do now is watch this. And I can also push this data out if I wanted. So if I can go, if this number goes up by 1, right? So, and I didn't name the panel, but I could change that real quick and call that, interview. If this changes to 1, it can send me a push message. So I can go reply right away, right? So again, I never have to go into my email. I'm fully automated my inbox. So, as we go into the future, if you are not working towards speeding up your life, giving yourself some hours back to either do training or go on vacation or spend more time on the beach, that's my whole purpose. That's why I do it. I am an AI and automation champion, and here's why. It makes me way more efficient. It keeps me faster. It allows me to do more work in the same amount of time or less time, right? It's not higher effort. It's just I get more stuff done, and allows me to just sit back and see what comes across my phone. But just wanted to show you that real quick. And if you're curious about the full breakdown and how I built this and what to do, I will be happy to show you. Just let me know in the comments, and I'll be happy to show you how I built all this. But literally, SQL, you can pick your SQL flavor because this is very happy with whatever you want to pick. All right, so if I go add module, I can click on this, and if I just type SQL, you can see there's Postgres, there's Snowflake, there's Microsoft, right? There's all kinds of databases you can use to do something with, right? But this is just make.com. You could do this probably in Zapier. You could definitely do this in Power Automate. But just wanted to show you how to simplify your life with your email. This is just one example, but you could do this with a lot of other things. I also do this for ticketing systems when they send emails, right? Because a lot of those emails are going to be generic. I actually go parse the text and then action upon that text, especially if it's repeatable and it's the same stuff, right? But there you go. That's how I do that. So have a good one. I'll talk to y'all later.